This Friday and Shabbat, known as Purim Katan, are very special and unique days in the Jewish calendar. They are in fact the days that the Purim miracle took place on. The only reason that we push it off a month to Adar Bet, to the second Adar with the leap year, is because Chazal famously say that although we should always makdimin la mitzvot, ein mavrim la mitzvot, whenever we have an opportunity to do a mitzvah, we do it as soon as we can. It's only because of the halachic principle of lismoch geula legeula that the geula and salvation of Purim should be as close as possible to Pesach for various reasons that we push it off. But the truth is, this is the month and this is the day of Yud Gimel, the day of the decree, today Thursday, and the day that it was turned around v'nafochu on Yud Daled and Tetzaveh. And although we don't celebrate Purim, they're known as Purim Katan. It's exactly 1 month before Purim, and hard to believe exactly 2 months before Pesach. These are the times in the Jewish calendar of a nahafochu, where the impossible seeming threats and situations get turned around. And in fact, the halachot on this day, we don't engage in any eulogizing or fasts on Purim Katan. We don't say tachnun, and there's even many Rishonim say we should have a full-blown Su'udah. The Shulchan Aruch rules that there isn't an obligation to have a Su'udah, but the Ramah does say that we have miktzat Su'udah, we should eat a little bit more. It's a very special day, and in fact, every time communities around the world faced a destruction and they were saved from it, they called that day that they would say Hallel and Thanksgiving Purim Katan all around the world. This concept of Purim Katan and days where threats were averted. And I want to say that in these days, this is exactly the time all those years ago that the most diabolical mission of destruction of the Jewish people ever thought up in a human mind took place on this day. Can we imagine in a time that there was no internet and no technology that we have today, and yet Haman succeeded in convincing Achashverosh to implement a plan to murder every single Jew in every single country on one day. And it says, V'ein lashiv, once the edict went out, he had put in place the infrastructure of messengers and murderers all around the world to murder the Jewish people on this day. And in a way that only Hashem can, everything got turned around, as we know, v'nahafochu. And today, as I'm recording this, Yud Gimel Adar, this is the day of this, God forbid, destruction then. And this is the very day of v'nahafochu, that only through Hashem's kindness was everything turned around. Not one hair on the hair of one Jew fell, and on the contrary, v'nahafochu, things turned out exactly the opposite, that in the 14th and 15th, the Jewish people were saved. And I want to end and say in prayer, we so desperately need this v'nahafochu. Our soldiers have been fighting so courageously, the missions we've seen on an ongoing basis. And Be'ezrat Hashem, from today, these 2 months, the times of Geula, of Adar and then Adar and Pesach, should be times of v'nahafochu, that Hashem should bless our soldiers to be able, and our people, to return every single one of the 134 hostages, unfortunately of which our son Daniel Shimon Ben Sharon is one of them, to return them all home today, during this time, to be able to ensure that the threat of this Nazi-like infrastructure should no longer pose such a threat. Hashem should look after all of our soldiers. This is the time in the Jewish calendar of v'nahafochu, from Purim Katan to Purim Gadol, Purim to Pesach, Be'ezrat Hashem. May these be the great times of not only turning the tide, but being able to bring Geula and salvation, la klal, la prat, for all of us going forward. Purim Katan Sameach, Shabbat Shalom.